My message today is about the role of AI in society and maybe also the way we are, the narratives that we are telling ourselves about the role of AI in society. I would like to start by stating some obvious. AI doesn't really transform society on its own. What really shapes the future of are our human choices, the data that we collect, the values that we prioritize, the goals that we set, the economic incentives we accept or reject, and the ethical priorities that we choose to uphold. Every AI system is a reflection of our decisions, whether they are explicit or not explicit. Governing AI is therefore governing ourselves. We are not managing machines. We are managing our human choices. We are deciding what kind of society we want to be as these technologies become increasingly present. We are actually speaking about power, about responsibility, and about values. It is essential to reject the idea that there is a technological solution for all societal problems. Issues as inequality, sustainability, inclusion, justice, or even democratic cohesion are not solved by algorithms alone, but by policies, by public deliberation, by strong institutions, and mostly by collective responsibility. All technology, including AI, is embedded in real socio-economic systems that have power asymmetries, structural flaws, interests, and conflicts. There is no technological shortcut for structural problems. No technology can, by itself, correct what is fundamentally political or economic. These challenges require informed human choice, institutional courage, and sustained social commitment. AI can help, but it cannot replace our human actions, our decisions, or to resolve the tensions, the priorities, and the dilemmas that define life in society. At the same time, the way we use AI can introduce new risks. We live today in a culture that idealizes efficiency, doing things faster, producing more quickly, automating whatever possible. The promise of generative AI fits perfectly in this narrative, delegating cognitive tasks, producing content in seconds, reducing the human effort. But we do need to ask ourselves, what is this for efficiency? What kind of efficiency is this? If efficiency means only reducing the time needed to produce a text or an image or some other product, then maybe we are gaining something. But if efficiency means replacing the intellectual effort that creates depth, rigor, discernment, and critical reflection, then we are probably losing much more than what we are gaining. We can therefore not forget that by definition, LLMs generate inputs or automatisms that are plausible but not necessarily true. When we become accustomed to machines writing, summarizing, or even deciding for us, we risk engaging less with those issues ourselves and losing the capacity for critical thinking. We are not facing a technical challenge alone. We are facing an epistemological crisis. And this cognitive erosion is not a technical detail, it is a societal and a democratic risk. A society that thinks less is more vulnerable for manipulation, more permeable to disinformation, more dependent on synthetic content that simulates uses that don't really necessarily exist. Today, it is not only content that can be fabricated. The reactions to this content, the comments, the public sentiment, all of this is being fabricated as well. This creates the illusion that social debate is existing where it not necessarily occurred, where everything is manufactured. And when we cannot no longer distinguish between what is human from what is artificial, what is deliberate from what is fabricated, the very notion of the public sphere becomes very unstable. This is why the first question we should ask is not how to use AI, but why to use AI, and above all, for what purpose. This is the fundamental question, a question that we are calling the question zero. Before questioning the tool, we need to question the need. Before seeking efficiency, we need to seek purpose. Technology must serve clear, legitimate, and socially valuable human ends. It should not be adopted simply because it's possible, because it is available, because everybody else is doing it, but it needs to be reflected and critically analyzed. Answering this question zero, why to use AI, requires us to consider societal impact, risks, alternatives, and above all, human values. It requires us to recognize that not everything that can be done should be done. Not everything that it should be automated, and not all problems need AI, and not all applications bring real benefits. This responsibility is not only ethical, it's a political responsibility. When I say that AI is not neutral, is not just an abstract philosophical statement. It is something very concrete. Every design decision, what data to include, what metrics to optimize, what risks to accept, which values to prioritize, are political decisions. Algorithms need rules, but there are many ways to define and represent these rules. Responsible data governance doesn't mean storing every little thing that has been ever created or felt. The current approach to data and AI is not inevitable. It's a choice, and I dare say, is sometimes a lazy choice, the choice of the least work. The belief that it is inevitable is part of the narrative of power. AI as a technology, it reshapes power. However, whoever controls the data controls part of the reality. Whoever defines the models defines how the reality is interpreted. Whoever determines the incentives determines the direction that the technology is going. Governing AI means, therefore, governing these systems of power. It means governing ourselves. And this requires the ability to explain not only how systems work, but why they exist, for whom they were created, and who bears their costs, the economic costs, the human costs, the environmental costs. We cannot ignore AI's impact. Currently, AI depends on energy, water, materials, mineral extraction chains, and physical infrastructure. Digitalization is not immaterial. Behind every system, there is also human labor. The data annotators, the content moderators, all these invisible works performing repetitive and emotionally exhausting tasks, such that we can interact with chatbots in our daily lives as if everything were automatic and magical. These are people working long hours in precarious conditions to train, clean, and correct what the models cannot do on their own. Responsible AI also means integrating environmental and social goals and costs from the beginning, reducing emissions, avoiding excessive consumption, ensuring circularity, protecting those who work in the visible chains of AI, and aligning innovation with planetary limits and global justice. Technology can help address climate and societal issues, but it can also worsen them. Responsibility always begins in the design and in the intent, never as a final patch.
Thank you.
Finally, I must speak about trust. A society only advances when technology it trusts when with technology when it trusts that the technology serves the public interest. Trust does not arise from promises; it arises from practices. Practices of transparency, of participation, of scrutiny, and of accountability. That is why governance and ethics are not the opposite of innovation. They are its fundamental condition. Clear, predictable, value-driven governance enables innovation to happen in a sustainable, just, and meaningful way. Governance is therefore innovation in itself. For AI to contribute to more just, more democratic, and more sustainable societies, we need three things. First, we need human resilience to keep questioning and to keep thinking critically about the choices and the options that we have. Second, strong institutions capable of regulating, guiding, and enforcing accountability. And finally, we need citizen participation to ensure that technology reflects our collective priorities and not just the private interests. AI will not decide the direction of our society. We decide. We can allow AI to amplify inequalities, consume resources without limits, and weaken our democracies. Or we can use it to reinforce human dignity, support sustainability, and strengthen the public debate. These are not inevitabilities, there are choices. And this demands courage. to slow down when needed, to ask why before asking how, to resist the temptation of easy of efficiency, and to build critical resilience in people and in institutions. True innovation is not about making systems faster or more powerful. It's about making our societies more responsible, more transparent, and more aligned with common good, capable of guiding technology towards what truly matters. The future of AI is what we choose it to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Virginia. And if there's one thing I very strongly take from what you're saying, the point about citizen participation, which has, in a way, come under challenge as we begin to discuss the next research and innovation framework, where responsible research and innovation is moving out of the list of priorities. I think that would be a tragedy.